Herculez, how big a deal is this? It feels like another massive setback for a young man who just can't catch a break when it comes to his health.
You said the word right there, massive. It's a massive deal. I wish I could say this is something we could chalk off to the pandemic. It's a congested schedule. These things happen. We've heard Pep Guardiola say these players aren't robots. It's bound to happen. They can't stay fit for that long with the amount of games in this congested schedule. But this isn't the first time we've seen this with Christian Pulisic. It almost seems like a trend. It seems like a chronic injury. And when I say chronic, it's a hamstring injury, which leads to other muscles being all of a sudden overcompensated and leads to injury. This season in all competitions, he's missed 14 games this season already. If we look at that, 47% of the team's minutes since he joined, that's massive for a player who's 22 years of age, who's still trying to get some development under his belt, trying to become that player he wants to be, live up to that $75 million transfer fee. I wish I could downplay this somewhat, but you can't.
You say trend, Herc. From a health standpoint, Christian Pulisic's career is starting to remind me of Neymar's. We talk more about the absence of the player than we do about his presence. And to me, that's a real serious worry. Now, Neymar, different conversation. He misses big games. Right now, Christian Pulisic is missing a lot of games. I think the other key difference between the two of them is Neymar, every time he gets hurt, is good enough to walk back into any team, whether it's Brazil or PSG. Christian Pulisic, if we're honest, right now, at the elite level that is Chelsea, is not good enough that when he gets hurt, he's going to walk back into that team. Not now, and probably, if we're being honest, Herc, not never at Chelsea. So this is a real worry for me from a club standpoint. Now, when I pull it back to the U.S. men's national team and the international picture, I have to admit, Herc, if I were a U.S. fan, I'd be a lot less worried because I think it's a much smaller challenge to keep Pulisic healthy in a short window. And let's be honest, that's what he's going to be judged at international level, what he does in summer tournaments. So my question to you is, I should still be worried. Well, yeah. What do you think is the long-term effect then on Pulisic's career?
Let me tell you why he should still be worried, not just him, but what is Greg Berhalter. Because you're looking at getting a nucleus together. We keep talking about this young team and how they're planning for the future, how we're looking at 2026. Hold on, you still got to play today. We're not just going to go throw that out the window because we want to see 2026. You want to see Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Christian Pulisic, and what is Gio Reyna on the field together. By the way, the first three that I mentioned, they've played a total of 63 minutes together on the field under Greg Berhalter. So by no means is it a guarantee that he's just going to walk back in and everything's going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen. Thomas Tuchel should be worried as well. And it looks like he was a bit frustrated, if you ask me, because when you saw Christian Pulisic turn around and say, it's the hammy, it reminded me of a discussion that players have at halftime. You know what? I'm a little tight back there. Give it a go before you go out there and we'll see. And he literally did 2 steps, turned around, and the coaches knew.
All right, so they say a good midfielder can pass between the lines. Herc, you and I are tasked now with reading between the lines, because sometimes it's not about what somebody says, it's about how they say it. Let's listen to what Thomas Tuchel had to say about Christian Pulisic's injury.
Yeah, he had to be. He was injured. He was injured. He needed to go out because of hamstring injury. He said he cannot continue to play.
Okay, how bad is it, do you think?
I hope not too bad, because in the beginning he said he can continue, but once he was out on the field, he had he felt it that it's too much and that he cannot risk it. So I hope it's not an injury, but just a problem.
Not an injury, just a problem. Herc, what do you make of what Tuchel says?
I don't agree that he hopes it's just an injury, not a problem. I hope that it's just an injury and not a problem, because if it's a problem, it's a chronic problem, and it'll continue to be a problem. I'm telling you about this discussion. I'm talking about this discussion that players have with coaches at halftime. Can you go? Can you give it a go? Because if you look at that first half, he was one of their better players. Scored a goal. They were playing a man down with Ziyech, Timo Werner. He was clearly the most active. At any given moment, you thought maybe you can get a second, even a man down. Well, that all goes to waste at halftime when he takes those steps, turns around, and he says, you know what, I can't. It took him all of 3 steps to realize that he couldn't. Turned around, and the look on the coaching staff's face was almost like they were in disapproval with their own player.
So Tuchel had multiple comments on Pulisic. Actually, just yesterday, he had another interview, and the words that I found that he used very interesting was just the replacement of one word with another. Every time he talked Pulisic, it was not we, it was he. And the key line is not, we could not risk it, Herc. It was, he could not risk it. It seems to me to isolate, to put Christian Pulisic on an island, and I honestly don't think it sounds like the talk of a manager who has a lot of confidence in the player. Do you agree?
I don't know if I agree with that sentiment, but I will tell you this. As a player, you have to look out for you. You know your body, and only you know your body. They can't tell you how much you can go. You can only tell them how far it is you can take it. And if he felt that hamstring was about to give up, you need to pull yourself out.
Okay. All right, so our stats and info group, they're great. They've gone back through Pulisic's time at Chelsea. They've found 6 other instances where he was hurt and it cost him game time. If he misses game time here, it would be number 7. Herc, from a player's perspective, right, there has to be a solution or a fix. What can Christian Pulisic change? Is it his diet? Is it his trainer? Is it his team? Is it his league? Some people will point to the fact that he didn't get hurt in the Bundesliga. Like, what can Christian Pulisic do to try to fix this?
Everything, because it's your livelihood, man. I've seen players change their training regimen. I've seen teams limit the amount of training or differentiate the training for said player to accommodate him. I've seen guys hire their own personal trainers, their own specialists, go across the globe to find out what is going on with said body part. You have to fix this because this is your livelihood. And this is not only club, we're also talking about country.
Hey, real quick, I made the Neymar comparison. There's probably a better one for U.S. fans, and that's John O'Brien, a guy who played every minute of that. But of that 2002 World Cup, the World Cup the U.S. gets to the quarterfinals is John O'Brien's one healthy World Cup. He was pretty much out of soccer like 4 years after that, before he was 30. But that player was an elite talent like Christian Pulisic is. He was playing at Ajax at a time when Americans weren't anywhere near the elite of Europe. So another name, and I know a guy you crossed paths with at one point, right?
We crossed paths as well. Yeah, John O'Brien is as elite as it gets in these circles. He's one of the true talents that never fulfilled said talent in U.S. soccer history. But I'm going to take you a little forward and give you a glimpse of what this reminds me of. Jozy Altidore and his injury issues in big tournaments, because there is no bigger player in my eyes for the U.S. men's national team than Jozy Altidore when he was on at the forward position, that 9 position. And we just never saw the best of him in those big tournaments because of injury, and it's a shame. And I would hate to see Christian go down this path. But Jozy at Toronto got together with Sebastian Jovinko's specialist, and they took care of some of those injuries. And if that's what you got to do, you got to hire your own specialist, you got to change your own regimen, you got to change your own habits, you do that.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.